Hey, friends on YouTube. I am doing a broadcast of an interview with myself and my guest, Bree Palmer. So she is a self-described social media queen, I think is what you said. And we will get going. Let me get the podcast started and we will get going right now. Three, two, one. Hey folks, I'm your host, Todd Bergen, and you are listening to the Divorce the Workforce podcast. I interview entrepreneurs and online creators about what they do, why they do what they do, and how they go about doing it. Learn about how they got started and why. Hear about what works for them as well as what doesn't, and learn from them as you chart your own course to freedom. Welcome to the program. And today is a second attempt at interviewing my friend from social media, one of my many friends from social media, Bree Palmer. How you doing, Bree?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I think we have a good connection today, so I'm real excited to get going. How about yourself?
Much better this time around.
Yeah, so I think I pulled off one of your social profiles, or maybe it was a website, that you are kind of a self-described social media queen. What do you do on social media?
What don't I do on social media is probably the better question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of my time on different platforms from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, just more or less building a personal brand and a community.
Cool. And I think I actually used the wrong word. I think you described yourself as an avid social media chick. So yeah. I don't know if that's one and the same with queen or not, but both of them work, I would imagine.
For sure. I don't think I'd quite consider myself at queen status, but definitely just a social media chick.
I think you do quite well. Your social media accounts get a lot of attention from a lot of the players out there who are pretty big in digital marketing and social media. So how did you get started with this? Where did this all begin?
That's a great question. I don't even know where this all really started at the very beginning. I'm totally like a typical millennial. I come from that generation where I've grown up with social media, starting from like MySpace and Instant Messenger, and then Facebook and so on and so forth. And then I think the main thing for me was Twitter and being a part of certain Twitter chats, and then meeting people who are marketers or social media consultants and that kind of thing, and getting very interested in what they were doing.
About when do you think you started doing that? Do you know what year that was?
I want to say maybe 2012-ish.
So you've been doing it for a good almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And so you started on Twitter. You got involved in conversations. What exactly are conversations for people who don't know what conversations are on Twitter? And the reason why I ask is because I think a lot of people don't know that conversations go beyond 164 characters or whatever the limit is.
Yeah. Well, there's like a lot of things called Twitter chats where people have a specific hashtag and everyone uses that hashtag at a certain time of day. So like, for example, buffer chat was a big one for me for a long time. So you'd put hashtag buffer chat at like 1 p.m. every Wednesday or whatever it was. And you would be part of a conversation and you would search the hashtag and keep up with the conversation using either just doing it through searching the hashtag, or there's like different websites that you can go to that make it a little bit easier, like Hootsuite and all those kinds of programs that make it a little bit easier to maneuver. But basically, yeah, it's like a whole conversation, and usually there's a topic or a guest or some form of whatever to keep the conversation flowing. And then could be a few people, could be hundreds of people, could be thousands of people all participating in the same conversation.
Now, did you ever start your own conversations, or did you just participate in others?
Yeah, I've always just participated in other people's.
So are you still active on Twitter?
Yeah, pretty active on Twitter.
Do you,
Not maybe not so much nowadays. Well, it comes and goes. I find it goes in phases for me.
so you, I know that so I found you through Snapchat. When I first got on Snapchat, you were one of the first accounts that I found. And it's kind of hard to find people on Snapchat. So I don't know if I found you because of a referral from another member or if it was ghost codes. And it really doesn't matter. You were one of the first accounts that I found, and you were very heavy on Snapchat.
Yes,
Are
yes,
you
I was.
are you still using it?
I'm still on there. So just recently, like maybe a few weeks ago, I decided to completely delete the app. So I deleted it off my phone and was just like, I had had enough, I guess. I don't know what my mindset was. I just decided one day I'm going to delete it. And that only lasted about a week. So I got back on it and now I'm on there, but I'm not making stories as much as I used to.
So when did you get started on Snapchat? Because the app's been around for about 5 years, and the bulk of the people just got started within the last year or two. How long have you been on there?
I wasn't a beginning user for sure. I would say I was on there, I want to say at least a year and a half ago, because I remember snapping my Christmas tree last year and I had a little bit of a following at that point. So I must have started a little bit before Christmas of last year.
So what made you want to, I mean, aside from maybe being bored or kind of over it, what really kind of did it for you with wanting to delete Snapchat, even though you came back?
I was feeling totally overwhelmed. I feel like as of lately, it's gotten so big that even though my community of people is absolutely amazing, which is why I'm back there, but it just got huge and it was feeling very overwhelming to have to make stories that were of quality content and watch stories. And then if I wasn't watching stories, I felt sort of guilty about it because people were watching my stories and I wasn't watching theirs. So it just got extremely overwhelming.
So did you have a lot of people communicating with you, and that was adding to it? Was a lot of private messaging and having to respond to that, or was that part of the equation?
Yeah, definitely to an extent. But the conversations I have, I still am having those conversations. Like the community of people I've built, they're my friends now more than anything. So I still keep up with them. But it was just getting to be a lot. And then Instagram and business profiles and Twitter and Facebook and just everything. I felt like Snapchat was the one that had to go.
Which is kind of odd because one, I think you probably a lot of people discovered you there and probably still do. And it just seemed like you were a natural fit for it. But you do use Instagram stories a lot now, don't you?
Yeah, I've kind of switched. So that was a main thing, I guess, too, for me was that Snapchat, like, it's hard because I did love it a lot. But yeah, now that there's Instagram stories, I'm kind of more of a fan of that. I've always been a really big fan of Instagram, and it's so much easier to flip flop between pages. So I have like my own personal brand and then my company's page on Instagram, and I run another page on Instagram. So it was just a lot easier to go from one to the next, where Snapchat, you have to log in and log out. So Instagram has had my attention for a long time. And now with the stories feature, I feel like it's everything all encompassed in one app.
Yeah,
So
I think you speak to one of the pain points that people used to have with Instagram with the logging in and out. I mean, I think it hasn't even been a year since Instagram allowed you to go from one account to the other without typing in passwords. Snapchat does. In fact, Snapchat makes it difficult for you to have multiple accounts because I think you have to have a different phone number for every account.
yeah, that's true too.
So, I guess there's some things that Snapchat could iron out to make people like you and myself happy who want to have multiple accounts or, whatever. But what do you prefer over Snapchat that no other social media platform offers you? I mean, what still to this day is appealing about Snapchat as opposed to the others?
The Snapchat has one thing going for it, and this is why it will probably stick around for a long time, is the community. It's a weird thing because it's so popular, but then there's also this like extremely niche group of people who we've all created this like community, and we're all like friends online that we've maybe never even met offline, but we're such good friends and we're all connected in this weird way. We all have this passion that we share. So that's the main thing that Snapchat definitely has going for it. Is for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why this is, but it creates an incredible community of people.
I don't disagree. I love Snapchat, and I think Snapchat has to get their game together or they're going to get gobbled up by Facebook and Instagram with what they're doing. I mean, they've got their game face on where it doesn't feel like Snapchat does.
Yeah, Zuckerberg definitely knows what he's doing because he's got a handle on things. I think Snapchat's trying, and the new group chat feature is pretty cool. So we'll see how that plays out over the next few months.
Now, I joined a group today. I was joined, and I don't know how long it lasts. I think it only lasts 24 hours, but I'm in a group that Carlos Gill put together.
Okay.
And it's my first group experience. Have you been doing the group experience already?
Yeah, so I got added to one yesterday by Blake Croft. So he added me to the homies one, which is like a thing that there's a group of us and we consider ourselves the homies for a while. And we had a Facebook group and this whole big thing. So anyways, now we have a Snapchat group and it's all of us. It's kind of a cool feature because if you don't check it for a long time, like I didn't check it all day yesterday. So then when I checked Snapchat at about 8 o'clock last night or so, they had all been recording stories. So when I pressed play, there was like 272 seconds of videos, and it was like watching one extended story of all of like my friends. So that was kind of a neat thing.
Sure. Now, did he add you to the group or did he invite you to the group?
He just added me.
See, I think can you even invite or do you have to just add?
I think you just add people.
Okay. I can see that as being a problem.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that it might have been Joel Com. Somebody recently did a video where they discussed being added to Facebook pages and groups without permission. And yeah. Periscope, are you active on Periscope?
Not at all, no.
Okay, well, Periscope just added a group feature, but you can't send an invite. You just have to add people. And I think the Snapchat thing, you just add, like you say, you just add people. Carlos actually invited people to send him a private message saying they wanted to be added. So that's a workaround.
Yeah. That is definitely smart of him because it is, I mean, I was fine with it because I know all the people in there, but I can imagine that it would be frustrating to just get added at random to these groups. You can leave, obviously, but then it leaves this weird, like, awkwardness, right?
Sure.
Like,
well, on Periscope, just to try it, I did add 10 people who I thought wouldn't mind at all, but I felt like slimy and it just didn't feel right. And I probably won't do it again. I'll probably send out invites like Carlos did. I think that's a good workaround.
Yeah.
Now on Snapchat, what kind of content did you like to produce?
I would call myself a lifestyle Snapchatter. So basically the definition of that is you just snap whatever you're doing throughout your everyday. That was all I really did. I was never too like specific in what I was snapping, and I tried not to be overly like content producing about it. Like I wasn't overly producing anything I was doing. I was just kind of snapping at random, whatever it may be. And then I had a couple random things that caught on, like closet snaps with Bree was a thing for a while, which is pretty funny.
What were closet snaps with Bree?
Well, it started out as I would snap in my closet to hide from my fiance and my stepkids because they all think I'm crazy. So that was how it started in the beginning. And I would sit in my closet and like snap, and then I got branded closet snaps with Bree. So then I started like a whole thing of like, I would just go to my closet all the time to talk about whatever. Like sometimes I'd have a topic of conversation, or sometimes I'd just like rant or whatever it may be.
So now do you do closet snaps with Bree on Instagram stories?
I've done a couple, but it's not quite the same there.
Well, it'll take a while to take hold, but it probably won't be the same. Snapchat's kind of its own beast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of noticed that you had 4 themes, and maybe there were more, but these were the 4 that I kind of picked up on. It seems like a lot of your content. I was looking at Facebook, Twitter, mean, I found you on Medium, and I just research who I interview so I can kind of have a good feel of what they do and why they do it. But you had 4 themes that kind of were across all the different platforms. And I thought of them as kind of your first theme was like just being happy and positivity. Second theme, personal branding. Third theme, mental health awareness. And fourth theme, awareness of your business.
Yeah.
So how do those, I mean, am I correct on those? And it seems like being happy and positivity is really your main theme.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're hit the nail right on the head with that. It started out like, I guess for me, that's just who I am. So realistically on Snapchat, I was just 100% being authentically myself. And it caught on for a lot of people like that, I suppose, because it's nice to kind of be watching different stories. And then you come across the one person who's sort of just being happy and positive and whatever, silly. And it brightened a few people's days. I've had quite a few comments and that like are so humbling and so nice to hear that I've made their day, or like they come across me and I just put them in a better mood. And one girl told me that she likes to just watch me talk because my voice is calming to her, which is really random, but like these kinds of comments are so humbling. And yeah.
People are very generous on Snapchat with their feedback as well. So I'm sure that you heard back from plenty of people. So how about awareness of your business? What exactly is your business? And I kind of know because I saw your social media, but for the guests out there who don't know, what is your business?
For sure. So I do interior decorating with a partner of mine. So Annalore Design is our company. We do interior decorating across the board. So everything from color consultations, full renovations of kitchens and bathrooms, styling, home staging, pretty much everything you can think of in the interior decorating or interior design world, we can do. So it's more of a local business than anything. I've tried to do the online thing and I just didn't find it worked for me. I'm extremely visual, so it's hard for me if I'm not in the space to properly give you the right advice. So I can kind of do it from afar, but I don't feel overly confident about it because it's better for me to be physically in the person's home to pick the right stuff for them. I find with interior design, it's extremely difficult to do that online.
Sure. Do you promote your business much in social, or do you pretty much not?
Well, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram for Annalore Design, and I'm pretty heavy on the Instagram, and I've ran a few Facebook ads. But we're not it's just myself and my business partner. Like we're not that into it yet. Like we're trying to kind of slowly roll into the whole interior decorating thing. So we're not putting a whole lot of money into an advertising budget at this point. I talk about it all the time. People have been seeing, especially lately since I bought a house, like different things I've been doing. So they come to me for advice and that's fine. And then just as for local, I just run local ads on Facebook and basically letting the ball roll.
Sure. Now when I read some of your work on Medium, I found that you wrote a little bit on Blab. Did you participate on Blab, or were you just a consumer of content?
A little bit of both. So I used to watch a few Blab shows, and then Vanessa, who is Nessa Makes, had our own show for a while. So we had what was called the Snapchat Lounge. And basically we would just hop on Blab every Thursday. Was it Thursdays? I want to say it was Thursdays at about 8 or 9 p.m. And whoever was available would hop onto. And there was always at least 4 of us in the box. So Vanessa, myself, and then we'd always invite in 2 other people. And it was kind of like a rotated seat thing. We'd have different people come and go and we would just chat. Like it was literally like just a lounge. We would hang out and catch up on everyone's week. And sometimes we'd have influencers come in, and that was really cool because we'd pick their brains and see what they were up to. And yeah, that was basically it for Blab.
How many episodes do you think you did when you were on Blab? I'm just trying to get a feel for how long you were doing it.
We probably were doing it for about 6 months. So every week for 6 months, I want to say.
When the website only lasted for about a year. So you were on it for pretty much the balance of the term. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, were you still broadcasting regularly at the point in time when they terminated Blab, or had you stopped before that?
We had heard through the grapevine that they were thinking about shutting it down. So in a little bit of forward thinking, we tried Fire Talk, which was okay. And then that wasn't great. So, and then once Blab quit, we kind of quit too. It just was such a bummer that Blab didn't work out because nothing was quite the same.
I agree. I think I was actually preparing myself to start a show on Blab. I was teaching myself everything I could learn about Blab, watching and yeah, I mean, even wrote out documents. And I mean, I was really kind of trying to prepare for my entrance onto Blab, and then it went poof. And sadly, because I thought it was really cool. I did appear on one Blab, on a Joel.com episode of something, and got to talk to him for 20 minutes or something like that, which was kind of fun. But
yeah, it was really upsetting when Blab shut down because there's nothing else like it.
I agree. And it'll take a while before there is, it seems like. So also on Medium, I saw that you had compiled a list one time of people who you should follow on Snapchat. And you named 5 people. Can you remember who those people were? And I'm wondering if they've changed actually. I'll tell you who you named. You named Carlos Gill, Amy Schmittauer, Caleb Maddox, Anna Hendricks, and Blake Croft. I've heard of most of them, maybe not 1 or 2 of them. But
yeah, those are still awesome people, to be honest.
Are there any more that you recommend?
Yeah, I don't really follow Caleb so much anymore, but I do find him extremely interesting since he's so young. Like, he's definitely making waves, but I don't follow him so much anymore. Carlos Gill, I'm still a big follower of. Lately, I've become an incredibly big Gary Vee fan.
I was going to ask you about that, actually, because I see you retweeting and putting it on Facebook, all sorts of videos of his. So I knew you were a fan of his.
Yeah, I just totally stand for everything he stands for, too. Like, the stuff he talks about, positivity and positive mental health and self-awareness and all of those things are huge, huge things for me as well. So
he definitely is incredible.
He's super inspirational human. He doesn't like that because he's a businessman, but he is definitely motivational and inspirational, whether he likes it or not.
Well, so going back to the micro video content, we talked a lot about Snapchat. I was going to ask you some about the Instagram. First of all, you don't have Instagram Live yet, do you?
No, I still don't have Instagram Live. It's driving me absolutely crazy.
Somebody said somewhere, in fact, you probably saw it before me because I think you're more tuned into social than I am, but somebody said, that might have been Carlos Gill, I don't remember, but somebody said it was only being rolled out I think it was Vincenzo Landino. It's only being rolled out in the United States right now, and so like people out of the country shouldn't even be hoping for it quite yet.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Which is a shame, but you do use the stories feature a lot. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was, since you were such a big user of Snapchat and you use the filters and lenses very heavily in Snapchat, but that doesn't exist in Instagram stories. So how does that affect your content, and what do you think about that? It's
kind of sad, but at the same time, like, it gives a little bit more realness to Instagram stories that I kind of like. Like, it's totally 100% authentic because you can't put all of those sort of things on, and you can't fake, like, if you're having a bad makeup day or bad whatever, like, too bad for you. You can put a filter on, I suppose, but they still don't change it as much as like a lens would or a filter. But I don't really miss them, to be honest. Like, doesn't change what I'm saying. So adding those things in there were fun, and that's why I got Snapchat back too. Like, it's fun to take the selfies as whatever animal, like I was saying, on one of my posts. But for the most part, they just are like a fun little feature, whereas on Instagram, I just don't think it's necessary.
So like on a bad hair or bad makeup day on Instagram, you can't vomit rainbows now.
You cannot, no.
So, and actually I remember you use the filters and the lenses. I think the lenses are what I remember. You use the lenses almost daily. I kind of miss it myself on the stories, but then again, I kind of can see what you're saying, that it's not something to be missed. But what about the geo filters? Do you not miss the geo filters? I personally miss the geo filters when it comes to Instagram stories.
Yeah, I think Instagram stories will figure a way to do that themselves eventually. They're probably trying not to be exact replica and an exact copy of Snapchat, which is probably why we're still missing those features. But geo filters, yes and no. I guess right now it's not bothering me because I'm in one place. But if I were to travel again, like when we drove to Florida, the geo filters was super cool during my story to that, because every time we were in a different place, it puts a different geo filter on, and that was super unique. So I will definitely think I'll miss it when I'm traveling. But right now, since I'm not going anywhere, it's not bothering me so much.
So on the stories, do you consume any? I'm going to go ahead and say, maybe Carlos Gill and particularly Gary Vaynerchuk, but is there anybody on Instagram who the listeners might not be aware of that you really find to be compelling on Instagram as far as the live or the stories go?
Instagram stories, unique people. Who am I on right now? Let me just have a little scroll through and see if I see specific people.
And just while you're looking at your phone, going back to Caleb, I had not become aware of Caleb Maddox before I found that article of yours, and I followed him, and he's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
His dad always seemed to be, or at least the snaps that I saw, his dad was in the background while they're traveling and they're walking down the ramp to the airplane or whatever. But the guy is just amazing. I don't know exactly what he does, but
both Caleb and his dad are like amazing people for sure. I don't really understand exactly what they do either, but they're both speakers, and yeah, the content they put out is so inspirational and really gets you thinking. And the fact that Caleb is so young and what he does and the success he's had is crazy.
So did you find any Instagram people that we have to be aware of? Because I really enjoyed your list from Medium. So I follow all those people. A couple of them I had already followed, but I kind of felt like I got some new discoveries. So if you have any Instagram people, I and the listeners might very well be happy to hear a few more.
A lot of those same people are killing it everywhere, right? So
Sure.
There's that. Chef Lizette is cute. I don't know if you follow her. She's on Snapchat pretty heavily too, but I find her on Instagram. She's pretty cute there.
Now, what do you not like about stories that you miss from Snapchat? Because you said you don't miss the geo filters, lenses, whatever, but is there anything that you miss? The community, perhaps?
Some of the people, but then there's different people on Instagram, and I'm so I love meeting new people and I love hearing new stories, and so that's kind of interesting that it's a few, there's some of the same, but then there's a lot of others too. The thing I liked about Snapchat at the very beginning was that I could watch everyone's story, which is what I like about Instagram now, and that'll change as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But Instagram stories right now, I can get through every single person's story without spending 8 hours of my day. So It's kind of been an interesting switch for me, and that's what I don't know, maybe I'm weird and I just like to be on platforms at the beginning of things because they're quieter.
So what about the live feature that it doesn't save? Do you have any thoughts on that?
On the live and it not saving
on
at all.
Instagram stories,
Yeah.
that you can't go and watch it if you missed it.
Yeah, it's kind of going to create a lot of FOMO for people, fear of missing out. If you miss it, you miss it. I was saying, who was I saying this to? I was watching someone's yesterday, can't remember who, and I was saying that it's kind of a unique thing because now it's going to create this community of people who are in that specific conversation. So if something was said in that specific conversation, only those specific people are going to know about it. So it's kind of, and then they could have a conversation outside of that live stream to continue that conversation, if you know what I mean.
That
so
absolutely makes sense.
Yes, it's kind of creating this unique little, you feel special almost because you're ooh, I caught that and you didn't.
Right. Well, the thing that I worry about though is how can content creators invest heavily on a particular live message if it's going to be lost? Poof, it's gone. You can't repurpose it.
Yeah, people are going to have to get clever, I think. I was thinking about this. You're going to have to get clever about the way you promote that you're going to go live, I think. Like, if you're going to go live, you have to have it set for a specific time. Say, like, okay, everyone, I'm going live at 6 p.m. on Wednesday night. Like, be there or you're going to miss it. And then for businesses, like, it would be a unique way to get discounts or deals or like freebies out there, because you could be like, okay, so we're giving away a prize at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. If you're not in the live stream, like, you're not going to have a chance to get it. So it does give that sort of little bit of intrigue.
Yeah, I think your perspective is interesting. I think that the whole missing out thing is there. I mean, Snapchat kind of had that, but you had 24 hours to not miss out. This is like the urgency is really there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you're dealing with somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk, where he's, you got to be there to be part of the people who get one of his 10 signed books, or, he always has something like that going. But a lot of people that aren't as big as Gary Vaynerchuk don't have the ability to always have 10 books, going out all over the world every other day or whatever. I mean, he really knows how to play social media and get people to go from one to the next and do what it is he wants them to do. I mean, I raced out and video recorded myself buying his book at a bookstore because he, had this thing going.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
I think it might be a play by like Instagram too, because the whole live feature, like, if you're not in the app, a lot of times you miss that people are even going live. So it may be a little bit of a push for people to be in Instagram just that much more. You know what I mean? Because
sure.
If you're not there, you don't see that people are going live. Sometimes it gives you a push notification, but sometimes it doesn't. So it's really like hit or miss. But if you're in the app already, which is why I catch a lot of people's live streams, because I'm like living in Instagram right now.
Right.
So
yeah, I've noticed actually.
If you're there, like, you see that it pops up at the top right away, like, so-and-so is going live, make sure you go now or you're going to miss it. So I think that maybe they did it on purpose to have people opening the app just that much more.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any push notifications. I have noticed that when I'm in Instagram and I'm actually using it, if somebody goes live, I get a little notification.
Yeah, exactly.
But I haven't noticed it if, like, my phone's just sitting by my side, and I generally keep notifications turned off because I broadcast and I don't want things coming through.
Right.
And bugging me, particularly on devices that I broadcast from. But I wonder, I'm going to have to look into that, if there actually are notifications beyond the app that actually make your phone light up if it's sitting on a table.
It's random with Instagram, because it's funny that you say this. So I tried doing a test with my friend Emily yesterday, because she is live and I don't. So we were playing with it. And what I noticed was, if you put your notifications on, like for Gary V, like with his 60-second club, like, he's been telling everybody to turn post notifications on. So if you have post notifications on for someone and they go live, it does pop up on my screen whether I'm in Instagram or not. Like, if my screen or if my phone is locked, I do see that he's going live. And it was the same with my friend Emily. Like, I didn't have post notifications on for her. She went live and nothing happened. So then I turned the post notifications on and nothing happened. But then later in the day, she went live again, and it did notify me when my phone was like off, like locked, like I wasn't on it. So I don't know. I don't think there's really any rhyme or reason to it, but yeah.
I'm going to make a study out of this because I want to figure this out actually. And you know what, if whatever you find out, we'll have to talk on the side about this, like through
we
Instagram.
Will, yeah.
Because I'm interested in this, because one, it sounds to me like Gary is already tuned in to how to make sure that people notice his live content, and he's instructing them. Now, he's a whole nother beast. He's got this, millions of followers, and if even just 1% of all his followers do what he says to do, it's still a ton of people. You know,
That's so true.
we're like, if I have 2,000 followers, and if I go live, I have like 3 people show up, and you've been with me quite a bit, and I appreciate that. I've had fun hanging out with you, but I mean, I have a ghost town of an account, it seems.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I have less followers than you do, and I don't have Blab yet, so I don't even get to play this game. But
well, you know, you'll have more interaction. I think a lot of my followers are just following to follow and wanting to follow back kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think Instagram is really full of that.
That's true.
And I don't think that I've crafted my message enough to really get people going to where I can say, hey, do this, and they'll do it. But we'll see in time. Now, do you have that kind of relationship with your crowd? Like when you do get live, are you going to be able to, you know, will people, I mean, has that ever happened? Have you asked people to do things like on Snapchat and they've done it?
I never ask. I am the worst for that.
Like, you got to do your calls to action. Come on.
I know calls to action is definitely a learning point for me. Maybe that'll be my 2017 learning curve, because I'm the worst. I don't ask.
Well, it's tough. I mean, I think Snapchat's tough. Instagram's probably harder. It's tough to even get people in Snapchat to snap a picture of something.
True,
like doing a vote. Have you ever done that where you've put up something for a vote and they have to snap one of the next 3 slides to cast their vote?
I have done that. The only thing I didn't like about doing that was that you have to wait like 24 hours to get solid results, right? Like, because people aren't all watching your story at the same time. Everybody's watching them on their schedule. So sometimes if you post at 8 a.m. and a lot of your people are checking their phone at 8 a.m., you get good results. But then if you post at 2 p.m. and nobody's checking their phone until bedtime, then you're getting 0 views and 0 results on a little thing like that. So I've tried that in the past. I think my thing was like, do I have cookies for dinner or do I have a salad for dinner? And it was funny, the results at the end, but obviously like it didn't matter in the time. Like I chose to eat real food. So
well, people love that kind of stuff on Snapchat though. I mean, because it's not serious and you're not asking them anything terribly serious. You're just asking them something fun.
Yeah. Definitely got a lot of results of like people screenshotting for the cookies or whatever, which was hilarious. So
I think that's been a big thing with Snapchat is it's just all about having fun. And I imagine that's a lot of the problem that marketers have with it is that people love goofiness there.
It's true. I think a lot of these platforms, which is what I do, I am 100% like myself on all of these platforms, or I'm just like goofy and I dance around, or sometimes I have a serious chat with my followers or whatever, but most of the time it's just like fun, silly, whatever I'm doing. And I'm 80% of the time making fun of myself. So yeah, I think it is definitely a tough thing. And it's a tough sell too, like to explain to people that it's worth it, their time and worth their energy to be on these platforms.
I agree. I was going to ask you about your personal branding, and is that something different than the Untitled Designs? I mean, when you look at social media and what you're doing on there, and you say that you're kind of doing a personal branding, do you have a plan for something that's not Untitled Designs that you'll use your social media accounts for, or is it just kind of all tied in with that?
No, I'm so like in polar opposite land on many things. So I feel like I'm a multi-passionate individual. So I love interior decorating and I love that whole thing. But then on another foot, I love the social media and I want to eventually become some kind of social media consultant or do social media in some aspect as a career path. And then there's the whole mental health side of things too. So I feel like I'm doing a lot of things, and it's the mental health and the positivity and the self-awareness / like positive mental health. And my personal brand is very much tied together. So those two things live on Bree Palmer and anything that has to do with Bree Palmer. And then Untitled Design and my whole decorating thing is on its own too. So I'm doing 2 very different things, but it's all me at the end of the day. But then they are very different.
Well, I think the consulting thing would be fabulous for you because you do spend so much time in the trenches doing it. That if you
Yeah,
could,
I've spent most of 2016 just solely learning. I feel like I've just been on a path of following people who are influencers or whatever, and they call themselves gurus, or they don't call themselves gurus, but whatever. And I've been watching and I've been listening and I've been doing it and then playing with different things, and every new thing that comes out, I download it and I play with it for a few hours and just to see. And that's what my whole year I feel like has been, but it's been an extremely good year of learning and finding all of these people who are super helpful. And if you ask them questions, like they're going to answer them. And it's just been really good year of learning all of this social media stuff.
well, I think it's awesome. And I think that what you do is awesome. And I love to tune in when I don't consume nearly as much as I would like, but you know, you're probably in like one of 10 that when I'm on something, I pay attention to. There's only so much time in the day and you've got to pick and choose. And I like your style and the happiness and just being goofy. I mean, it's just being goofy, having fun, smiling. And then,
Well,
you know, your crowd wants that occasional rant, right? I mean, it's got to happen.
yeah, a lot of people like when I do that.
Well, you know, closing out here, I was kind of thinking about something, and I've thought about doing this with various guests, and I never have done it because it never felt right. But I think that you're the perfect guest to try this little kind of closing out game in a sense
Okay.
on the podcast. And it's a social media word association game. And I'll name the platform and you can give a one-word thought or a sentence. I don't care what you give, but just give your thoughts on these platforms and we'll just go through them real quick.
Okay.
Facebook.
Facebook is busy.
Twitter.
Twitter is interesting, but kind of boring.
I agree. I agree. That Twitter's tough. Instagram.
Instagram is my love. I love Instagram. It's my baby right now.
Pinterest.
Pinterest is interesting. It's good for finding crafts that I will never do.
Yeah. Isn't that like everybody?
Yep.
But I'll tell you a little aside, since we're talking about Pinterest, the things that I see my wife and her friends making for birthday parties and things that they get off Pinterest is just incredible.
Oh, I get a ton of stuff from Pinterest. I hate on it a little bit, but it is funny. Like you can get so many creative ideas from Pinterest. It is a really good platform though for sourcing.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll go on LinkedIn.
Boring.
I didn't even know if you knew what LinkedIn was because I know you're so tuned into everything else. Maybe you missed LinkedIn.
Corporate boringness.
Yeah, I agree.
How
Boring.
do you feel about that?
Google Plus.
Oh God, Google Plus. What is Google Plus?
Terrible, isn't it?
That's not even a thing.
I hate that it's tied into YouTube. I'm trying to build a YouTube channel, and every time I try to make a little change, I got to use Google Plus. I hate it.
Oh, that is frustrating. Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube other than watching. So,
all right. So here's the fun ones. I'm more interested in hearing what you have to say about these social media platforms. Snapchat.
Okay.
Snapchat.
Fun.
Instagram stories.
Interesting / fun.
Periscope. Well, you already said you didn't. What's
Periscope
right?
it's no, not for me.
Facebook Live.
Still not sure about Facebook Live. I think it's an incredibly good idea. I'm just not sure how to go about it yet.
Vine. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah. Nope.
Did you use Vine?
Never.
I actually liked Vine. I did a few videos. I really liked it, but I was too late to that party.
Yeah. It's weird that it died. I'm kind of surprised by that, but.
Well, we've already discussed Blab. Blab was on the list. Do you have any final thoughts on Blab?
Nope. It's just a sad day. We miss Blab.
I do too. I loved it. And finally, I wanted to save this one for last because I know you don't have it. Instagram Live.
Oh, sad. I'm so upset.
You've got
I've been like yelling at Instagram. I posted on my story like, maybe if I talk to them directly, they'll give it to me. And then I've tweeted them a million times, but no
Surely
love.
Canada is on the horizon, right? Canada is kind of like an extension of the United States in a way,
Yeah,
right?
we're always like at least a couple steps behind. So it'll come, but it'll be after you guys have all mastered it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was grueling when I saw people getting it. And it was like, I think I got it 36 or 48 hours after it first started showing up. And that 2 days was brutal.
Yeah, I was watching people like I knew that I'm always just like I put it in the back burner because I know I'm Canadian and for whatever reason we never get anything. And like, yeah, just watching all of my American friends, like every time they'd go, they'd be like, oh, I still don't have it. Everyone was like losing it.
I felt that way about the Snapchat spectacles. I stood in line at Venice Beach for the very first bot drop and I got there too late and didn't get a pair. And it was crushing. And I felt the same way about the Instagram Live. My wife had it like when it first went on. And
no way.
She doesn't even use live video ever. My daughter knew somebody at school that got it, but neither my daughter and I will both use it, but we didn't get it. And then I was thinking about it and I went into I have 5 Instagram accounts. 2 of my Instagram accounts that I don't use had it, but the other 3 didn't. It was really odd.
That is odd.
And you would think that the algorithm would take into account the volume or the amount of posting that you do and give it to if you have 5 accounts, you get the one that you use.
Yeah, I was finding it odd, like that some of the people who did have it opposed to some of the people who didn't. So clearly it had nothing to do with followers. Like, I don't know how they were rolling that out. I really don't get it.
Do you think it had anything to do with who had if it's verified or with a little check next to their name, like a Gary Vaynerchuk or somebody?
I don't think so for that either, because there was a few people who are verified and they didn't get it right away either. So
yeah, see, I didn't notice that. It seemed like everybody I was following that was verified seemed to be broadcasting. I might not have looked into it.
Yeah, I had a couple people who say like that they didn't get it and they were verified. So I don't know.
Well, so when I close out the show, what I have people do is just tell the crowd where they can find you if they want to reach out and follow you and interact with you. Where I think if they've listened this far, they already know where they can find you. But to close it out, why don't you tell them where they can find you and maybe your website?
Yeah, so you can find me on pretty much anything, but the best way is to just go to breepalmer.com. So BREEPALMER.com. And then you can link up to all of my sites there. I wasn't smart enough to get all of my usernames the same. So it's Bree Palm on most things, but it's Bree.Palmer on Instagram. So yeah, easiest way is to just go to breepalmer.com.
Isn't that a problem that we all have, is not getting the same name everywhere?
Yeah, I wish I was on that bus at the beginning.
It's very frustrating. You know what? And if you get into consulting on social media, that's going to be one of the first things you teach your people is get the same name everywhere.
Definitely.
Because it can lead to headaches. Well, listen, Bree, it was so much fun to have you on the show. I think I learned a lot, and I think the crowd will learn a lot too about what makes social fun and what works. You have an amazing crowd that follows you, and I think it's because you have fun with it.
I sure hope so, and I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a great pleasure. I hope to have you back on again. Folks, you can follow me at divorcetheworkforce.com and also Todd.LIVE, which currently goes to divorcetheworkforce.com, but it won't much longer. We're going to be building a website at Todd.LIVE.com, and I'm going to send everybody there instead of Divorce the Workforce because people can't spell it or they have problems with it. So Todd.LIVE will take you there right now. So reach out, send an email, reach out to Bree. She's great on social media. She's a fun friend. And if you choose to follow her, you're going to have a great time, and she puts out great content. So with that, folks, have fun, stay productive, and thank you again, Bree.
Thank you.
All right, take care.